You Booked It, episode 96. Hey, entertainers and performers of the world. I'm your host, Dane Reese, and welcome to You Booked It, where I chat with inspiring entertainment professionals 7 days a week. By digging into their journey, we're going to discover everything you need to do to have a successful entertainment career. You know, because training usually skips that part about how to actually make your skills work for you in the real world. Fellow entertainers, my drive here at You Booked It is to share the inspiring and incredible journeys of successful entertainment professionals. We're here to support your journey. So go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the You Booked It email community, where we dig deep into truly actionable things you can be doing right now to book that next audition, submission, or gig. If you enjoy this free podcast, please show your support and search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, where you can subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a rating, and review. And now, let's do this. Okay, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Lisa DeSpain. Are you ready for this, Lisa?
Absolutely.
All right. Lisa is a jazz pianist and composer and is the recipient of an Opera America Discovery Grant for Female Composers, a 2020 National Endowment for the Arts America Award, and winner of the 2020 Zepic Modern Opera Commission. Other honors include an Aaron Copland Fellowship, the ASCAP Commission honoring the Duke Ellington Centennial, and a Dramatist Guild Foundation Fellow. In addition to her extensive work as a composer, Ms. DeSpain is the arranger entrusted to translate Broadway's top hits for the educational choral market, including Hamilton, Once, Green Day's American Idiot, and In the Heights. She received her BM from University of North Texas and her MM in jazz piano performance from Manhattan School of Music. She studied jazz piano with Ellis Marsalis and Brazilian pianist Eliane Elias. She also ran away and joined the circus twice. Lisa, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Fill in the gaps, who you are, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry.
There's a lot of gaps and there's a lot of fun. I think let's just start with, I started out as a jazz pianist and have just been passionate about music my whole life and welcomed the twists and turns of a musical career. And so I've worn a lot of hats. I started out wanting to be a jazz pianist and eventually found my calling as a composer. And along that way, I was a vocal coach and an accompanist and a music director and conducted the circus. Currently, I'm a professor at LaGuardia Community College, and I'm writing lots of opera, which is a surprise.
Perfect. And let's move on to this next section here. And Lisa, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
So I've heard that you're a sucker for a good quote. So I'm going to actually give you 2 quotes.
Brilliant.
So these 2 quotes have been posted above my writing studio for most of my life. And the first one, when choosing between 2 evils, I always like to try the one I've never tried before.
Ooh,
Mae
I like
West.
that.
Yeah, I like that one too. And then the second one, I don't know where the quote came from. I think it's Joseph Campbell, but I haven't been able to find it. And it is, knowledge you have to look up is knowledge you don't have.
Yeah, that's so good. So simple and profound. Can you maybe expand on both of those a little bit, on how they've played into your career and your life?
Yeah, I think the Mae West quote just had such a cheekiness to it for me and such a freedom that it became a touchstone for a musical adventure.
Hmm.
And it gave me permission to say yes to any adventure that came along my way. And I like that. I like to be pushed with every commission, with every concert, with every performance, with any musical opportunity. I always love to be a little bit frightened and a little bit challenged. I love the adventure. And I think the knowledge quote is also important because to just fling yourself at a musical adventure without having tools to succeed at it, I think is dangerous. And so for me, it's a good balance between really honor your craft, honor your study, dig deep and understand and own your knowledge. Don't let anybody else give that to you. And then fling yourself madly at any adventure that comes your way. And then, use those tools to find your way through the path of creativity.
Yes, I love that. And I love how you've taken both of those and melded them together for an entire artistic and career experience. It's amazing. And you're so right. You need the training. This is a very skill-based career, whether it's music, whether it's singing and dancing, whether it's acting. You have to have the skill set first, of course. And from there, taking that skill set and then just going, all right, let's be free with it. Let's see what happens. Love that combination. Love it. And let's move on to this section here. And of course, Lisa, you are an entertainment professional. I'm an entertainment professional. And I think that you'd agree this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, sure, there's an outrageous amount of fun and excitement doing what we do, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
First of all, I want to take away the word failure because I think failure is more of a learning mistake.
Absolutely.
I think that we have challenges and obstacles, and we have attempts that teach us. And that's the way I think of this career. As far as obstacles and challenges are what makes us grow. Obstacles are what makes us grow. So I don't look at any of them as negative, first of all. I would say then my biggest obstacle in many ways has been myself. And I would also say that let me stop and pull back for a second and say, I think one of the key challenges in my life has been my decision to assign a mythological expectation about what is a career and what is success in this industry. I think when I was younger, I looked outward to the myths that were being told to us about you will be happy when ... or this award or this commission is an earmark of success. And I think I chased a lot of those outside, what is the word I'm looking for? I think defining oneself by that outward industry may have been my biggest challenge to being an artist. And I think once I looked at the industry and realized that you don't live in your Tony, you don't live in your show, you live in the process of creating.
Yeah.
You live in the process of your art, which is a daily commitment. And if you're looking to the outside all the time to define your artistry, I think that's a mistake.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I can 100% admit to being that person as well. And putting way too much pressure on myself to have this creditor, that creditor, work with this person or that person. And while all those things are nice things to have and they're cool, every time I've achieved something that I think is what I had in my head as success, or I made it in this particular part of my career, as soon as it happens, it's gone. The moment happens, and it was a wonderful moment. I enjoyed the moment, but it only lasted a moment. And the more often that started happening in my career as well, the more I started realizing, hey, it's not about that end thing. It's very cool to have that end thing, and I'm super glad that all came full circle. But the part that I enjoyed was getting there and the whole thing leading up to it.
Yeah, and that's where I've made a big switch. I think when I was younger, I didn't come from a family steeped in the entertainment industry. I'm a self-made girl. So I may have bought into those myths as a way for me to study and try to understand how to make a career. But now I look at them and I think, oh, I was so busy looking for somebody else's definition of what my happy career is, what my artistic voice should have been. And there's the successes, but then there's the things that you don't get when you don't get the award, when you don't get the opportunity, even though you've worked so hard at it. Does that define you as a success or a failure? I don't think so. Now I'm really just looking at how do I show up? What's within my control every day as an artist? And what's within my control, I can make happy, I can make art, I can live a fulfilled life as an artist. And it's coming from inside me rather than this unrealized, like I say, a mythological expectation that I've put on myself that isn't true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you say it perfectly by saying a mythological expectation, because in our brains, that's exactly what we're doing to ourselves, which is so unfair to ourselves as well.
Yeah, we're giving ourselves scripts that say this is what success is, this is what the career should look like. And I think that in a way stops us from making up the real creative fun of the journey.
Yeah,
We
100%.
we have to have goals. I don't want to be so internal that we don't have goals, we don't have desires, and we actively move towards them. But we have to make sure that we're doing the art from inward and what's within our control and bringing the joy from that rather than trying to meet everybody else's ideas of what you are as an artist.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. And I want to move on to this next section, to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be in this entertainment industry for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing in this industry. Tell us about that.
When I saw this question and I had to think about what was that moment, boy, so many moments came up. And then eventually they narrowed down to a moment that was I asked the universe a question about why I was an artist, and it was so quickly answered. And then I think all those other spotlight moments have reaffirmed it.
Hmm.
So I was graduating in 1997 from Manhattan School of Music, and I had gotten my degree in jazz piano performance. And I'm standing ready to walk on for the commencement ceremony. And all of a sudden, I had this moment where I said, what have I done? I just got a master's degree in jazz piano performance. The world does not need another jazz pianist. Why didn't I go into medicine? Why didn't I do? And all of a sudden, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of the doubt, the questioning. What is my purpose in life? Oh my gosh, I'm a jazz musician. What do I have to offer? And Mstislav Rostropovich was given an honorary doctorate that year. And Mstislav Rostropovich was this amazing cellist. Do you know who he is?
I don't.
Please listen to his recordings of the Bach cello suites. He was a great cellist. He was a great humanitarian. And he spoke at our commencement exercise. And he said, just as the physician is called to heal the body, the musician is called to heal the soul. And that was my spotlight moment. It was so quick. The question was answered so quick, it shocked me.
Yeah.
And that has been my artistic lifeline, my point of reference for pretty much everything I do.
I love that.
I do too.
And let's piggyback on that real quick and let's talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, what was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
And I love the word booked it. I feel like maybe I might be a square peg fitting in a round hole because I am coming from the composer aspect here instead of a performer. So booked it for us is, I think, something different in the way we get our big moments in our career. Being a composer is a day of routine. and you have to put successful routines in. So a booked it moment will be a bright spot in the middle of the day where you have done everything else that seems very routine. You've written the music, you've drank your coffee, you've gone for a walk, you've done all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, the seeds that you have laid out come back to you. I remember being on stage conducting a big band chart. It's called Dreaming in the Land of Blue Oz. And there's this very cheeky moment where in the middle of a blues groove, an acid Jimi Hendrix guitar solo comes sailing through.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a gasping moment. It's so shocking because it's funny. It's supposed to be funny. And I remember conducting that, and I knew it was coming. And as soon as the guitar laid into these acid chords, you could feel the whole audience gasp for breath. And the energy just flowed out of that audience through me, the body. It felt like it was through me, the body, conducting and into the band that was playing at that moment. And it felt like this collective breath of shock and joy and connection and wonder. And it felt for the entire piece that everybody in the room was sitting on their edge of their seats, kind of one with each other.
Yeah.
That's a moment for an artist where I feel like, oh, I'm fulfilling my mission of bringing joy to people, of connecting joy. And then on the opposite, I remember at a big band reading one time, it was just a rehearsal. It was a rough reading of things. Afterwards, somebody walked up to me, a young girl, and she said, "My day is so much happier having heard your music today." And she walked off. That has stuck with me my entire, I don't know, it must have been 30 years ago. That's my booked it moment.
Oh,
That's what I think as a composer. I live for those moments. I do the routine knowing and hoping that the music will make a difference at some point. And when it does, it means something I can't even find words to.
that is amazing. And you're right. In a lot of ways, it's a very traditionally different experience from the performer. You get your call from your agent and things like this. But I think we all, as performers and entertainers, we all experience levels of what you're talking about in that entire time. Is all of a sudden it's that daily work, and then for whatever reason, in a moment, it all will flood at you, and you're like, "Wow, this is it." Everything gets bright and clear and vivid, and it's amazing.
That's
Yes.
the magic of live performance. That's the magic.
100%.
And I think as a composer, we don't oftentimes get to be in the room when that happens. I think I've been lucky because I have been in the room for wearing the other hats as a conductor or as a pianist. I've been able to feel that. But I also get a joy when I do those arrangements. Like a junior high will post a video of one of my choral arrangements on YouTube, and I get to see that. I'm not in the room with them, but it helps remind me, and it means so much to me because, again, as a composer, I'm often not there when the music is being performed that I've created.
Right.
So those little moments actually mean so much to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to bring back to what you said about the performers because I adore my performers. When they're up there performing my work, my music, and they're connecting that audience, that's how my voice becomes heard. So I love my performers. I respect my performers. I always try to write something that they're going to have joy performing too. So I write with my performers in my brain, trying to imagine the experience of performing this music. And I have to give them snaps and respect. When I teach singers, I say, you are the bravest people in the world because you're about to become so vulnerable in front of people you don't know. That's the bravest act. I'm a composer. I put the notes on the page and I walk away. They're the ones that are up there singing their hearts out, taking my words and giving life to it. And they're the ones that are exposing themselves vulnerably on a stage. So snaps to all the performers.
I love that. And thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And this is a crazy time. We're amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
I am not going to guess the entertainment industry, except to look back at history and say the arts always come back
Mm,
because the arts are they are part of our human condition. There has been pandemics in the past. There has been traumatic things that have happened throughout the course of humanity, and the arts are still here. Why? Because we need them. I am not the person to solve the next adventure of technology and how the entertainment industry is going to evolve. And I know that. So, what I've done in this pandemic is focused on what I can control, which is number one, taking care of my students as a professor, teaching them grit and surviving, and then focusing on what it is that I believe my mission to be, which is to create art that will eventually put us back together again. I made a choice to be live performance, not recording, not film and television. I love the live stage because I love that human to human connection. And I think through this pandemic, because we've been denied human to human connection, I believe we are going to come out of here and we know we need it. And so I've really focused on continuing creating the works that I enjoy creating that I feel will bring us back together again. So I am working on a big opera, a Deal with the Devil opera. And we're lucky we still have the funding in place. It's been sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts, and that will receive a workshop in April if things get turned around. And I look forward to presenting it live in front of an audience and hoping that we get together and laugh and we have that healing moment again.
yeah, I love that. And I think you're so right that let's look at history. The arts have
Yeah.
always prevailed. We need the arts, and we're going to need them more than ever after all of this separation from each other.
Mhm. And I think the arts has really actually helped us bear through this. Look at all the streaming and live and the television and the content that's been creating in the film and the television and through our computers. Great. We have needed that. We have needed that. And I think we will also need live performance. So I just keep staying the path that I believe is my mission, writing the works that I have in front of me, and looking forward to the time when we are post COVID that I can get back and use my music to heal and bring us back together without fear and to just
Yes.
laugh. I was talking with one of my writing partners, David Simpatico. He's my librettist for Hellbound Train. And we're looking at a second project because we love writing together. We giggle all the time. And we talked, do we want to do something serious that deals with a lot of the movements that were happening, not just the pandemic, but the Black Lives Matter and the social justice changes. And we talked about these things and we realized our strength is comedy and that people will need comedy in addition to gain strength to be able to continue forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I just keep writing. And I'm lucky. I've had Hellbound Train is going forward. My ZEPIC commission is also going forward. That's going to happen in April at the Kansas Aviation Museum with Opera Kansas. And I am working on a middle school musical this is where technology is cool. This is me going on my musical adventure with Mae West, okay?
Yep.
Yes, I am the girl who loves live performance. In this pandemic, I've been developing a musical over Zoom with a bunch of middle schoolers in Plainfield, Illinois. We've gotten together every Friday and table read through this musical. And we're going to
Wow.
continue to work on it throughout this next academic year. And it's at the Ira Jones Middle School. And it's been such a joy to connect with them. So here's the positive of the Zoom is connecting with people, tearing down some of the boundaries that distance puts in the way.
Mm.
I'm wearing a different hat. I'm out of my comfort zone, but I'm having a blast.
Ah, that's amazing. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And let's move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from a career in the arts?
Nothing.
Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
The community rises together. Be friends to everybody because the community, cheer everybody on because the community rises together.
Yes, I love that. And the third question, what is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
During this crisis, I've been able to really think a lot. That's what composers do. That's what creatives do, think a lot. The phrase done is better than perfect. I am a perfectionist. And somehow in the midst of this COVID, because I couldn't teach perfectly, because I couldn't connect perfectly, all of a sudden I recognized done is better than perfect. And I've actually written more music more quickly than I've ever in my lifetime. And I'm embracing it with such a new joy.
Oh, I love that. And the fourth question, what is your best resource? Whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, podcast, maybe a piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now.
Completely out of left field, Ben Bergeron, Chasing Excellence podcast. Ben is one of the top CrossFit coaches. He coaches Catherine David's daughter, and he is a brilliant, inspirational coach on mindset. I've discovered how closely the mindset of an athlete is to a mindset of an artist. And that podcast has helped me gain so much strength as a composer and an artist.
Amazing. I have not subscribed to his podcast. I will absolutely have to do that right after this.
He is amazing.
Very
so
cool.
Inspirational.
Love
Yeah.
it. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it the same?
I would keep it the same. I think the one thing I would make sure I do, I would surround myself with amazing collaborators, and I would keep a mentor. At some point, I stopped studying with a master teacher, and I look back and I think that's a misstep. I wish I continued my career with one eye as a student. I studied with this woman, Eliane Elias. Every time I left her studio, I felt like, I can do this. I can do this. I would walk in with a lot of doubt, and she would change that.
Mm.
One time I was playing, and I got very frustrated. And I said, I don't sound like McCoy Tyner. Everybody sounds like McCoy Tyner. I don't have these McCoy Tyner chops. And she said, Lisa, if I had the choice between buying an album by McCoy Tyner and somebody who sounded like McCoy Tyner, who do you think I'm going to buy? Sound like yourself. So there was my master teacher, not only teaching me the skills, but helping be a guidance when, hey, those mythological expectations come in and might possibly throw you off. Somebody who cares about your artistry and can continue honoring you, helping you honor your instincts.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And it also helps you bring back perspective into your career. You need that sometimes.
Which is why I love my collaborators. They are the yin and my yang. And when I have a question, I can call up David or Rachel. She's my collaborator for Staggerwing. And there are brilliant strengths that they have that I don't have, and vice versa. And we make each other stronger through this. It's not a mentorship, but through the collaboration. But to have somebody who has your best interest at heart helping you through the emotions of being an artist and the practicalities of being an artist, having somebody on your team. I think that's what I'm saying overall. Making sure you have a team of people who believe in you around you. Make sure you do it.
Yeah, could not agree more. And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I'm going to be completely unoriginal, and it is to be kind. I've heard several of your guests say it, and it is correct. Be kind.
It's so true.
Good. Bring joy. This world, this career, this art, life is hard enough. Be generous, be kind, cheer everybody else, and it just makes everything better.
Absolutely. And to wrap up this interview, Lisa, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
I'm easy to find. You go to my website and you send me a message through my contact. You think you're going to my lawyer, but you're not. You're coming right to me. And I love those emails. I love connecting with people. I'm much easier there than social media. I pull back a lot from social media, especially when I'm writing. So connect. If people want to talk to me and connect and be interested in my music, just write me through my webpage.
Wonderful. And what's the URL?
It's my name, lisadespain.com.
Perfect. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the link to her website in the description of this episode. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today. Your insight on this entire industry has been so great today. Thank you so much.
Dane, I am so grateful for the call and to talk to you, and thank you for the opportunity. Let's go create some art.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us today. My one call to action for you is to go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help advance your entertainment career. Don't miss an episode. We have a new guest 7 days a week. Search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.